Hi, my name's Harry, and for the few people here that do know me, this will be a bit boring, but for everybody who doesn't, I'm a distributed systems engineer at Wallet Connect, and I work in my free time on open source projects like the ENS cards project downstairs, as well as stuff outside of Web3, like I help build a programming language, and I work with the Superbase team. But first, and I'm here to talk to you today about what we have in Web2, and how we can bring that over to Web3 in a way that helps people who aren't used to Web3 get onboarded. But first, what makes Web3 different? Web3 has people ranging from college students all the way up to professional mathematicians or even just casual users. And they all want the exact same experience of being able to do everything easily, not paying too much for it, as well as exploring. Web3 is much nicer than Web2. Everybody can become a pioneer just by the fact that they publish a specification, work for a big company, or even just work for a company in their bedroom. Web3 is built of a few core protocols, and here they are here. I only have time today to speak about a few of them, which is ENS, Safe, and Wallet Connect, and WorldCoin. But there are many more, like Lens, Arweave, IPFS, and so many that I couldn't even think of them all while I was writing this. First, there's also organizations like CASA, the Chain Agnostic Standards Alliance, who work to bring organizations together to make specifications that work for everyone. We'll speak more about them a bit later. First, Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect is branded as your gateway to Web3, and it is a simple solution for connecting mobile wallets to dApps, both mobile dApps and desktop dApps. And the flow is very simple. First, we'll talk about their 4 core values, though, which is to be secure, interoperable, user-friendly, and multi-chain. With the V2 rollout coming to an end this month, every Wallet Connect app now has the ability to use any chain they want, as long as it supports CAPE 10, which we'll get onto a bit more later. Now let's speak about the flow that Wallet Connect uses. First, you have a QR code or the modal, which lists all the wallets. This is something a lot of people can be used to from applications like Discord or WhatsApp, where you pair your mobile wallet. Once you scan the QR code or select what you want, it then connects you into the dApp. The dApp gets your address. You can then sign messages as well as do everything you're used to simply with the base protocol. We now also have extra APIs on top, like chat and push, which allow you to build end-to-end encrypted chat apps or send push notifications from your dApp to users' wallets to improve engagement. And there's loads more that Wallet Connect are doing with Web3 Modal V2 and other projects like that, but I don't have enough time to talk about that today, and it could be its own talk. Next up is ENS. So most of you here, I presume, know what ENS is, but for the few that don't, it's the Ethereum name service. It takes simple-to-read names like harryet.eth and converts them to your complicated addresses. Imagine I was here and I said, I'll give you 3 ETH, I'm feeling a bit generous today, but then you have to explain to me your whole address. By the time you've got through it, I've checked the capitalization's correct and everything. I probably have regretted my decision to give you 3 ETH and have changed my mind. Whereas if you'd given me your ENS name, like harryet.eth, maybe I would have given you the few £1,000 and then regret it later. ENS works very similar to DNS, like everybody's used to, except instead of the GTLDs that ICANN issues, it's .eth, although you can take your GTLD from ICANN and convert it to an ENS name. You can have subdomains as well. So let's say I have mail.harryet.eth, which runs a website with my web server on it. I have social.harryet.eth that runs a Mastodon server. And maybe I have a treasury with a smart contract wallet on treasury.harryet.eth, and it resolves somewhere else. ENS is much better than DNS, though, if it can get any better. You can also set records. So, for example, mine has 3 records for my GitHub, Twitter, and Telegram. But you can set more for other stuff, as well as Reddit. There's several more. There's lots of standard ones as well for display name, avatar, banner, and then dApps can even implement their own should they choose. Maybe you have a dApp and you want your privacy policy to be a setting on your ENS name or something else like that. It's nice and simple there. But if you want to know any more about ENS, go to ens.domains, or Luke should be around. I think he's giving a talk at the same time now, and he can answer all your questions. He'll be downstairs with the ENS cards team. But there's so much more ENS can do that I don't have time to talk about today. Next is Safe. A few of you might know it as Gnosis Safe. It's a project that spun off from Gnosis for smart contract wallets, and the problem they solve is banking. In Web2, you might have a shared bank account with your friends or for a company, but in Web3, that doesn't particularly work with addresses. So for example, I have 10,000 USDC and I have 7 friends. I'm quite lucky I have 7 friends and 10,000 USDC, but we do, and we want to split it between us. So the first solution we decide is we're going to go 3 people are important enough, they get 3,300 and whatever each. But then there becomes a problem, because if you're one of the 4, you feel like you're not my friend anymore because I haven't given you any money. The other problem is I now want to buy something for $8,000. Well, I can't do that unless we trust one person with all of the money. And also, the other 4 are entirely cut out. They now have no say, and if one of these 3 decides to go rogue, they can spend a third of the money, which is a problem if a VC has trusted you with their money and you do something stupid that the VC doesn't like, then you have to hope that the people you've given the money to are nice. The other problem is my project has an ENS name. Who do I give it to? The 4 that don't have any wealth, there's no point of them having it, and the 3 that do have it might argue between who gets it. But there's a simple solution, which is having one address for all 7 of us, which is what a smart contract wallet solves. You have one address that pools everything together, and all 7 people are in charge of it. You might say, how do we sign? How do we connect? How do we spend the money? Surely, does one person just have the say? But no. You can set up policies. In this case, I've set I need at least 4 yeses, and 4 people have said yes, 2 have said no, and 1 person abstained. But since the minimum was met, a signature was still made, and the transaction can continue. That allows for voting within the group, and is something similar to what a lot of DAOs use, as well as other voting platforms. But yeah, you can vote, and then a signature can be made. Another thing is now we have one address, so we can have our ENS set up. So now you want to give me my 3 ETH back that I gave you earlier, you can send it to the project and not have to send it to 6 different people or whatever. But if you want to know more about Safe, feel free to go to safe.global. I don't think Safe have any dev roles here, but they are active at a lot of conferences. And the last project that I have time to talk about today is WorldCoin. You might have seen them around with their so-called beautiful orbs, the glass circles that are going to take your eyes. But the other thing you might have seen is this, maybe this if you're really unlucky, or one of the several other captures that supposedly capture robots. But I don't know about you, when I have to log onto a website and it asks me to pick the traffic lights out of a picture of the sea, it confuses me more than it's going to confuse a robot. So it's not really going to help. WorldCoin aims to solve that with WorldApp currently, but it is an open specification that anybody can implement. WorldApp's solution is that you have an address with them, and you can scan an orb to prove you're a real human, connect your phone to also half prove you're a human, and then you can go back to an orb once you have the World app, scan your eyes, prove you're a real human, and then instead of having to sit there for half an hour of your life trying to select fish in the sea or needles in haystacks, you can just get your phone back out, which you probably already just used to connect, scan a QR code, and prove that you're a real human. If you want more information about that, there is some of the WorldCoin team here in ETH Prague. I know DC Builder is. But if you want anything else from that, there's worldcoin.org, and they're also active sponsors of other Ethereum events. Let's get back onto what we spoke about at the start, which is CASA, the Chain Agnostic Standards Alliance. It's made up of loads of companies. Here are just a few that I could find brand pages for. If you're a company and don't have a brand assets page, nobody can put you in their talks. Please get one. But for the people that do, here you are. There's many more. There's Ceramic and a few others like that, but they all come together every so often. There was a meetup in Lisbon. There's weekly calls, and they build standards that work across every chain. So here's an example of Cape 10. It's on chainagnostic.org if you want to look at it properly. But this is the semantics for having a chain ID and linking it to an address without having to send separate stuff. So my address and the chain ID separately, it can be one string, which makes it super simple for dApps to implement. And Wallet Connect is actually built on top of this, which is how V2 supports its full interoperability. There's also fun ones like Cape 122, which is sign in with X. It's built on top of the Siwi spec that the Spruce ID team worked on, but now it's entirely chain agnostic. So you're trying to connect on Polygon, or you're trying to connect on Bitcoin, for example, then you can still use the exact same message you're used to signing with in Ethereum, except now it's open for everybody, so everybody can use it. If you want to know more about chain agnostic, you can always go to chainagnostic.org, or you can show up to one of the meetings or join their Discord server. Everybody there is super friendly and happy to help you out. But now we've looked at what we have, what's next? We have We have awesome specifications now in Web3, but there is some stuff that's missing. For example, OAuth 2.0. You're all used to being able to have your Google account, log into all your apps with your Google account, and never have to get anything out other than pressing one button and agreeing to some permissions. Right now, the equivalent would be sign in with Ethereum or sign in with Cape 122, but it's still more complicated than it needs to be. We need something to at least bridge the gap, so a server that supports both one of the Capes or the CWE spec, as well as OAuth 2. So then you can have your traditional OAuth 2 services like Supabase or Google or Tailscale support Ethereum wallets without having to put a lot of effort in. And then we also need a similar solution for the Ethereum, Bitcoin, everything space, so that we can connect wallets between dApps without having to get your mobile wallet, your hardware wallet back out again. The other big thing that could help out with this is WebAuthn. You might have heard of it from the FIDO Alliance or YubiKeys. They're hardware security keys that have private keys on them. You can use them, you plug it into your laptop and you can sign your Git commits with it. You can do loads of stuff like that. But the other simple thing that it could do is you can derive a Ethereum private key from it. You can derive, and then from that, a public key, and then you're connected. Then you would only have to have this plugged into your laptop, and you could go to any website and connect instantly with your YubiKey. Or for example, Apple now supports passkeys, which is also built on top of the WebAuthn spec, which is even simpler. Your laptop now has a wallet built into it. It has infinite wallets built into it, in fact. So you can just connect and use the passkey flow, and that keeps that simple. There's so much more that I could have spoken about today, both Web 2 and Web 3, but I just don't have the time. So thank you very much for listening, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
Thank you, Harry. Any questions? Comments?
I guess if there's no questions, I'll be around for the rest of the day with the ENS Cards team. I'm happy to speak about Wallet Connect or any of the other specifications that I've spoken about. So come find me around the event or come find me at the ENS Cards booth. Thank you all very much for listening.